Hey folks, Philly Boy J here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make homemade pot pies. What you're going to do first is get a large size mixing bowl. To the mixing bowl, you're going to add all-purpose flour, sugar, and salt. Cayenne pepper is optional. I like my pot pie crust to be on the spicy side. If you don't like spicy food, you can leave that out. And you're going to whisk this together with a whisk utensil or a fork. Okay, make sure all of the ingredients are evenly distributed. To the flour, make sure you're going to add chopped frozen pieces of butter, and we're going to be using our hands to knead, grind, and mix this in. You're going to press the flour mixture into the butter until you're left with a big bowl of different size crumbs. And these big butter crumbs are what's going to result in our pie crust being nice and flaky. All right, you're going to create a space in the middle. You're going to add 3 tablespoons of milk or water. By the way, you can use margarine or butter for this recipe. So if you don't have butter, you can use margarine. We're going to gather the liquid and the crumbs and blend them in together. Make sure you don't over knead this. Don't mix it too harshly. Be very gentle. Overworking this will result in very hard pie crust, and we don't want that. You want to bring the crumbs in together with the liquid. You want to add 3 more tablespoons of milk or water, and continue bringing the crumbs in and mashing them into the big ball of dough until you're left with nothing but a big ball of dough. Just like that right there. We're going to place this in the refrigerator for 2 hours. You're going to wrap it in some plastic wrap, and we'll get back to that later, guys. What we're going to get ready to do is focus on the filling for our pot pies. All right. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need 2 carrots, 2 stalks of celery, minced garlic, an onion, and 2 small red potatoes. We're going to chop our carrots into small circular shapes like that there. We're going to dice our celery into small pieces. Chop it up, chop it up, chop it up. We're going to chop our onions into really small pieces. Just like that right there. And you're going to peel the skin off of your potatoes and dice them into small size square shapes. That's the way your vegetables should look. And that's the way your potatoes should look. You're going to get a frying pan. You're going to place it over heat on your stove. You're going to add olive oil and margarine or butter. Going to let that melt a bit, and then you're going to add your vegetables and your minced garlic and your diced potatoes. We just want to saute our vegetables until the carrots and potatoes are relatively tender. Okay, and the reason why I cook them a little bit now is because we're only going to be baking our pot pies in the oven for a short period of time. And I want to make sure that the vegetables are cooked before adding them to the oven, because they may not cook all the way through in just that short period of time that we bake our pot pies in the oven. All right, so we want to cook them first. And you're going to just cook them until they are fork tender. Okay, so we're going to stir this all in. Stir it all in. And now we're going to get ready to add our seasonings. Here I have 3 chicken flavor bouillon cubes. That's going to enhance that chicken flavor. You're going to add your salt. And you're going to add your black pepper. All right. And again, I'm going to add a little bit of cayenne pepper because I like spicy food. But you can leave it out if you don't like spicy food. And we're going to add some garlic powder for good measure. We already added minced garlic, but I'm going to add a little more garlic and garlic powder. You're going to stir that all in. And look at that. Look at the vegetables. Look at the vegetables. You can tell that the potatoes and the carrots are relatively tender. You're going to add your parsley flakes. Give it a nice aroma. All right. I'm going to stir that in. Stir it in just like that. And now you're going to add your chicken broth. You're going to add your chicken broth. Okay. We're going to create a slurry, which is going to be our thickening agent, obviously. So I'm only going to be using a small amount of milk, about half a cup of milk, and some flour. And we're going to stir the flour in until it reaches a consistency of like pancake mix. Not too thick, but not too thin. We're going to stir that in. And that's going to be our thickening agent. It's going to also serve to lighten our filling as well. Give it a nice creaminess. Look at that. It's going to be delicious. This is some of the best. I said the best homemade Popeyes that you're ever going to taste in your life. Don't nobody make homemade Popeyes like Philly Boy J. Nobody. Don't nobody do it quite like him. Stir that in. And you're going to add your boneless chicken. These are 2 large size boneless chicken breasts that I diced up into small pieces. I removed the fat and I rinsed it off. We're going to add that to the filling, and we're only going to cook this until the boneless chicken turns white. Once it turns white, you're going to cut the fire off. We don't want to overcook the meat. We want the meat to be nice and tender. So you're not going to cook it too long. Going to cook it just until the filling reaches a nice thick consistency and until the chicken is no longer pink. You're going to add your frozen peas, your green beans, and your corn. This is authentic Popeyes, baby. Authentic. Authenticity. Now you're going to add your sour cream. Okay. You guys know I'm unique. You know I do everything a little different. Not a lot of people add sour cream to that Popeye filling, but I do. Okay. Gonna stir that in. And that's how thick you want your Popeye filling to be. Okay. What you're gonna do is you're gonna get your ball of dough and you're gonna slice it into 6 pieces. I have 6 Popeye trays, so I'm going to be slicing the dough into 6 pieces. Just like that there. You are going to coat your surface with flour. And the reason that we do this is because You want to coat the rolling pin, and you want to dust the dough with a little flour. Press it down and coat it with flour, and that's just to make sure that the rolling pin doesn't stick to the dough. Make sure that you don't roll your dough too many times. You don't want to over flatten it or over roll it. All right. You only want to press and roll about 6 times. Make sure it's wide enough for the pan to fit inside of it, like that. You're going to cut around the pan. And you're going to set the excess dough aside. We're going to be using that later for our top layer of crust. Okay. Make sure that you dust the dough off. You want to remove that excess flour. You don't want that to be on there. So dust that part off and then add that to our little small mini tray. You want to press it up against the tray and over the top. Just like that there. Bring it up and press it over the edges. Just like that. It's not that hard, is it? When you break it down like this, you find that it's not really that difficult. Just need somebody to explain it to you guys the way I'm explaining it here. Okay, just like that. That's why you want it to look. Okay, now we're going to add our papa filling. And make sure that you fill it up all the way to the top. But make sure it don't come over the tray. Look at that. And the reason that I tell you guys to only cook your chicken until it turns white is because it's going to cook when you bake it in the oven. And you don't want chewy, tough pieces of chicken breast. You want it to be nice and tender. All right. So fill that up. Look at that. Looking nice and creamy. Ah. Look at that. Look at the creaminess from the sour cream. You're going to flatten out the excess dough. Make sure you flatten it out enough to cover the top of the little tray here. And you're going to pull it over the edges, press it down so you can seal the sides. And you're going to remove the excess dough on the sides. We're not going to be using that. You're going to cut 4 splits into the top. That's so that the air can escape the papa. And so that the hot air can get inside of it. They're like little vents. Okay? That's what releases the moisture so that the inside can cook. Going to get our fork and press the sides down, further sealing them, and remove the excess dough on the side. You're going to do this to all your 6 papas, or however many you're making. You're going to coat them with butter, so melt some butter or margarine and rub it on the top so that our crust browns. Place them on a pan and then slide them on in the oven. Going to be cooking them on 350 degrees. And here I'm just adding a little more butter. It didn't brown as much as I would like it to, so I'm just adding a little more butter. Some people use egg wash, but I just don't like to put that on the top of my Popeyes for some reason. That will help it brown a little better though. So that's an option for you guys. And look at those. Look at the Popeyes, guys. Look at it, nice and flaky. and brown. Look at that. Ah, it looks absolutely delicious. Some of the best homemade pot pies that you're ever going to taste. My family absolutely loved it. They were going off. And guys, for the full recipe and exact measurements and instructions, make sure you visit my website at PhillyJCooking.com, or you can check the video description box below for the full recipe and exact measurements. All right. Look at that. Just look at that. This is something that's really good to make during the autumn or winter months. Good thing to eat during a Monday night while watching Monday Night Football. The filling is so good and creamy. The chicken is tender. It's well seasoned, not over seasoned, not under seasoned. And the pot pie crust is just so flaky. I know your guys are going to enjoy this recipe. You're going to love it. Give it a shot. Tell me how you like it. This is Philly Boy J showing you guys how to make homemade pot pies. I hope you enjoy it and love it as much as I did. Peace.